Steve Colescott here with elitefts.com. We're going to do a couple segments with Matt Wenning, who many of you know. Matt, tell people a little bit about your background.
Started lifting in 1994 at a local YMCA. Became pretty good by the time of 19. Went to Worlds and won a world championship at 19 years old. Started training at Westside Barbell around 2001 and became a full-time member in 2005 to 07. Shortly thereafter, broke the world record total, 2665 at 308, and then broke the world record squat in 2011 with 1,197 pounds. And do a lot of training with special forces, Army infantry, firemen, and all different types of tactical populations.
Okay. Let's go back to your earlier times. Who have been some of the mentors as you progressed that you've learned a lot from?
There was a guy named Jim Dawson, another guy named Tim Smith that were great lifters in their own eras. Jim Dawson was a 750-pound deadlifter at the 242-pound weight class in the early 70s, which when weightlifting was just kind of coming around. And my other coach or mentor, Tim Smith, was a 500-pound bencher at 181 pounds, just a local YMCA. Okay. So he taught me a lot of the traditional basics of training.
Okay.
So I would say as a young teenager, those two were my big influences.
And what type of training were you doing there? Was it just a simple periodization?
Yeah, I would say pretty much what you traditionally find at a local YMCA, just having guys that were a little bit more genetically gifted, a lot of reps to get stronger, a lot more muscle mass to get stronger, which I think helped me in the later years of training because I had a good base, but obviously staled out by the time I was in my early 20s.
Okay, and then where did you go on to?
Actually met with Louis Simmons probably when I was about 21 years old, and he had invited me to come over to Columbus, Ohio, where I'm at now, and started to show me a lot of these new methodologies. At that same time, I was at Ball State University, which had a couple of professors that had studied under Vladimir Zatsiorsky, which has wrote Science of Practice Strength Training, one of the best books of training. And they were also helping me with academically showing me these different models of training with Soviet periodization before it really got popular, which would have been in the early 2000s and late 90s. So.
Okay. And let's talk about some of the different influences that you may not have met. People like Zatsiorsky. Who do you read? Where do you get your ideas from?
A lot of it still comes from the traditional old Soviet texts. But I would say most of my information that I get now is through experimentation of my population, having older populations and watching how fast or slow they recover, having younger kids and seeing how fast they recover and they respond to training. And then also experimenting on myself still and trying new things all the time without leaving my base knowledge.
Okay.
I think is where I get most of my knowledge now. But I would say Medvedev. I actually spoke a lot with Verkhoshansky before he died in Italy, and got quite a bit of information from him, as also giving information to him as well. So those are the types of books that I still look at, and I don't think that's changed for the last 10 or 15 years.
Okay. And you told me before the interview that your focus right now is wanting to increase raw strength and get back into some competition. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Been training a lot raw the last year. Haven't done a whole lot of powerlifting except for a raw bench meet last October where I hit 600 pretty easy. So it got me on the 600 all-time list. And that kind of changed my attitude towards some things. I'm looking at the raw records and I'm like, I think I have a shot at taking some of these. So I'm looking at the 308 raw records with no knee wraps, which is an 826 squat. So I've been training to beat that. And then adding into that 600 or plus bench with my considerable deadlift, I can take the raw total if I have a good meet in May. But just something else to keep me from burning out. I've done equipment meets for 12, 15 years, and then the last 7 or 8 years at a very high level, top 10 in the world and then world record totals. I just wanted something new to transfer to, and I started seeing the importance of having a lot of raw strength for the people that I train. The military and the fire department don't really care how strong my bench is with a bench shirt. They want to know that I can create functional strength with no equipment, those types of things. So for my type of profession, although I still always love equipment lifting, I think raw lifting has shown me a lot of different ways and to attack different methods, or as far as to help people with the different goals.
Okay.
With the military and all that. I mean, they don't have squat suits when they're out running in the field. So I think for me to have a connection to them more, I need to have that type of strength. Doesn't mean that I won't ever do equipment meets again. I just think it gives me a better base of knowledge and to understand what the body can really take when I'm telling these kids how to squat and they don't have briefs on, or they don't have, you know, a belt, or they don't have suits. How much muscle damage are they getting from these training methods? If I can't do it, then why should I have them do it?
The last question in this segment I'm going to hit you with is, looking at newer lifters, what are some of the common mistakes that you see with people you work with?
Well, I think if you're talking about power lifters, the biggest mistake is trying to get strong too fast. And I'm sure there's been 50 other guys that say that, but you really have to have a big balance and a understanding of your genetic and structural weaknesses. Get those super strong and then let the strength come slowly. I think strength has a lot to do with the body's ability to be highly coordinated, very strong, and also have a very high tolerance for pain and discomfort. And those things take time. You can't just, you know, it's going to be rare to find a guy that you can take at 18 years old and by the time he's 20, he's going to be a world champion. These types of sports take a lot of developmental time to get better. And I think people try to get good too fast and end up having injuries. And I think that's one of the most advantages that I have as a lifter. As I've broke quite a bit of world records and done quite a bit of significant things, I've never had more than a muscle pull. So I'm not the guy walking around going, oh, I had a elbow surgery here and a shoulder surgery here. Something starts going wrong, I change my training and everything's right.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other people don't have that transitional ability or knowledge or patience to be able to work around things before they become major problems.
Okay, we're gonna be doing some regular work with Matt. So this will be the first video we put up. We're gonna have some regular stuff from him. And if any of you have ideas on things you want Matt to answer for us or topics, shoot them our way. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.